you hear a 2-second delay clap from me. Thanks for having me. And well, I got a little, like 5 things that I thought I would almost hold in the car that I want to organically share with my story. Can I get to know? I mean, is everybody like in the software field, or generally is everybody into development?
Everyone is into software, or they are either BAs or Scrum Masters. They've been part of the software engineering work.
Except him, of course.
Except on the financial
Yes,
space.
of course.
Okay. Yeah. So
We are 100% tech company, Dulith. We are all engineers.
there you go. Yes. So I think there are different kinds of entrepreneurs. There are entrepreneurs who wants to make money, and there are entrepreneurs who wants to innovate really. But as a side effect of that innovation, you become an entrepreneur. And then there are other entrepreneurs who want to do social service, NGOs. There's so many different kinds of entrepreneurs, and then I feel I belong to the innovation kind, because if I backtrack my life all the way to back 6-7 years old, there are a lot of memories that shows how addicted I was to innovation. So Kapruka is a result of me needing a platform to show that innovation, or like use that innovation. So Kapruka is almost a side effect of the addiction that I have for innovation. But I don't remember how like the craziest levels of innovation, even at childhood level, I call me a con artist when I was like 12, 13 years old. I hear about some of the crazy stuff he did. I remember wanting to print money when I was 12 or 13 years old, and I actually tried it. I mean, I had a print, I got the printer, I found the right ink, I found the right paper, and I actually printed a 500 note to see if I can actually pull it off, if I can actually just see, it's a challenge, right? So it's a hard thing to do. So I tried it, and then that led to another idea. I thought, hey, this is not going to work. It's really hard to print, but we can print a winning lotto ticket. Because at least you have printed on postpaid. Right? But same 500 rupees, right? You know the winning values, so let's print that. So that got me out of the okay, we had kind of closure for that subject. I can tell these things. It degrades your credibility, but at the same time, not there. Right? Okay, around 15 years old, I remember. Every phone has an ESN, right? Electronic serial number. So this ESN is on a ROM. You cannot change it. If you take this phone, it's impossible to change the ESN. But if you do change the ESN, you can clone the phone. So when your phone rings, mine will too. When I make a call, it will be you. So they made sure the phones are ESN is ROM, like around. But during the days of cell times, there was this Toyocom 3200, this model phone, that mistakenly released a batch of phones. This ESN was on a rack, so you can change it. So me and one of my friends got together and started cloning phones in Sri Lanka. And I remember going house to house. We got the list of these phone owners from Celtel, and we said, okay, these are the guys who has this defective phone. And we went and gave them new phones and got that phone in exchange and said, look, we are collecting this, because it was impossible to get them again. So and then we cloned it and we started selling them to people, saying, look, if you want to listen to somebody, you can do this and this and this. So at that time, I didn't know the word of entrepreneurship or none of this stuff. And thankfully I was, by that time my parents were quite wealthy and I was well off, but I had this urge to do this stuff. So I can talk all day about like tons of experiments like that today. But when I look back, it shows me that characteristic of being addicted to innovation. So that's innovation. So then I started Kapruka when I was, this was about actually 12 or 13 years ago, now 12 years ago, from scratch. no investments. Even after today, I have not taken a single cent of investment or loans or any, from the shirt I'm wearing to everything at Kapruka is bought with our own income. That's a unique piece about Kapruka. So we have to be doing something different, right? For us to work out that way, I think that different piece is innovation. Otherwise, everybody will not want ventures. Right? But I've been tempted to, bring ventures in. I've talked to Chanda on table saying, okay, what will happen if I sell 10% of Kapruka? He said, go for it. Right? He's an investor, right? So, but I managed to pocket it out and still not do that. So there were so many opportunities that people trying to come in and venture into this. But I stayed out because of why? One reason. I feel that I cannot operate at that point. I mean, when there is an investor, when there is a board, I cannot tell ridiculous things like, okay, I want this chair to be there. The board is going to ask why. I can't tell the board think it should be there. They want a logical reason. So sometimes we don't have logical reasons in innovation. So I needed that freedom. That's why I kept Kapruka in-house as much as possible. But this next venture of mine is not the same story. I'll talk about it later. The third thing I want to talk about is, please ask me questions. This is just like a conversation. How many are joining from Morocco?
Morocco, we have about good 30 people.
30 people?
Yes. And from UK, we probably have about 7 to 8 people.
Voice. Okay, 2 videos. So, what I realized is, okay, you can be the smartest guy, you can be the most innovative guy, you can have all the money in the world, but you really can't do anything without a team. I mean, look at this. You can't do a damn thing without a team. So, as leaders, you guys are trying to be innovators, you guys are trying to be, you are eventually going to be leaders. When you scale up, when you go really, really global, when you become a $1 billion in your case, $1 billion company one day. So you have to be able to scale, and then you have to have teams, and in those teams you have to have leaders, and hopefully these core people, in Mitra today are that core team, and then maybe at least 50 to 60% of your future leaders, I hope, will come from within you guys instead of parachuting in. Right? Let's hope that. So you take Ochusa, you take all the well-off companies, you will see there are internal leaders coming from within, at least 50+% coming from within. So which means you need to know how to treat your team, right? People who are working on you, you need to know how to take care of them. You need to know that you are really useless without the team. So that is something that I also had in me from childhood. I remember certain characteristics like I did all this con artist stuff, and so that means I had some money from childhood. So I've been selling computers, blah blah, selling software, all that. I always had a collection of money. At one point, I remember remembering the servants in our kitchen. We had 2 servants. They had nothing to do after they were done cooking. And that used to bother me so much. They have nothing to do. I know they're there. They have nothing to do. So I collected, all the money I had, I bought a black and white TV for it. The amount of relief that gave me, and to know that now, okay, they're having, priceless. And I think so. At that time, I wasn't running a team, I wasn't doing any of this, but there was something in my DNA that made me do that. So I think that really helped me to run Kapruka also the same way, because this team works in a very unique manner. I always tell we are doing 600 people work with 200 people. In our appraisal forms, I have 2 very unique lines. The UK guys are not going to understand it. One is called the ammo factor. I actually have it. Sure. Yeah, it's called the ammo factor. Because you have to have a bar ammo thing of idea. They're thinking about this. Right? And I feel that's something you can measure and actually call it the ammo, because that's what we understand it locally as. And I have it in the managers appraisal forms. I have something called the book. I actually have it. I probably didn't innovate that. I innovated that. It's like your book is excellent, right? That is your cult, that is your, let's say, your fraternity. You know? Okay, now when I see Channaya, I'm like, I have that royal thing, right, going on, right? So when I meet my group, same group, I cannot replace that. Let's call the book. So why don't you bring it into the company and embrace that? So we use it, and we really promote the Aya Nangi Akamani culture in Kapruka. I know a lot of people go like, I worked at white collar offices, and they are very eager about this Aya Nangi Akamani culture. But I use it. I tell, okay, you are Kapruka, yeah, Macha, you do all that stuff inside, because that you can harvest the Sri Lankan cultures. There's some magic in there that you can harvest. And that I naturally call you Malli. Malli, can you move this? We all know, right? I mean, we are from Sri Lanka, so why not use this proudly? And it worked for me very well in Kapruka. I don't know how long I can use it, maybe there are 600, 700 people, we might not be able to. But there's something interesting happening. Teams are getting smaller. I mean, Kapruka headcount had been at one point 240, and we were doing about 450 orders per day. Now we are doing 700 orders a day, and we are doing 200. So something is changing. I'll come to that also every year. It's not that people are leaving. We are converting people inside Kapruka to be self-employed. So removing them from the payroll for a better pay and getting the supply demand linked together. When we have demand, yes, you are working harder, more people. When you don't have demand, so it goes that way, then you have a fixed overhead. So that's how we reduced our payroll from 240 to 200 and still doing more orders than usual. So I talked about the team, I talked about childhood and innovation piece. Any questions so far? I forgot some. Another thing is the workaholic piece, right? As a kid, Sri Lanka. If I wake up in the morning and if somebody tells me there are no problems today, I'll be honestly thinking I'll be upset. I want to wake up with problems, and I want to people to tell me, yeah, we have these 4 things broken, let's fix it today. The answering, it's a perfect day, you don't know what to do kind of thing. So I love challenges, and I work 18 hours, and people look at my life and think, what a stressful life this guy is living. And I'm sure the Ambika Walk comes in evening to my house, and he's like more nervous than me to leave because he knows that that's the time I work. Right? So, but I'm really happy. I mean, I love what I do, and it just makes me if you guys give me a ticket to Hawaii, I will not like it at all. I mean, I hate breaks. I just want to keep doing my thing. But then again, we can't be totally selfish. You all are going to have families, so you have to balance it off. So it's about, I always tell the entrepreneurs, get married early, fast, and get that going parallel, and hopefully find the right person. Otherwise, it's a different story. But if you find the right person and get it going, I was very lucky. Damik is very lucky. I know a lot of people who are lucky. You get it going very early, then you have one big thing less to worry about. Right? Otherwise, imagine you are 30 years plus, you still have breakups and dating, commitments. All that is, you wrap it up at 22. Then you're clear. So I tell entrepreneurs, get married fast. Right? Take a risk and get married fast. So workaholism is also something there. And the last thing that I want to tell you guys is about, our brain is really single-threaded. It can't do multiple things. It's physically, built in there to do only one thing. The moment you try to do more than one thing, you are switching between processes. That increases your stress levels, because You are not supposed to be doing that. You are giving 10% here, 90% here, and another 5% here. So these days it's very difficult to do one thing. You get distracted by so many things. You are addicted to checking Facebook. You are addicted to checking mail. You are addicted to all your things on your phones, and that just makes you switch between back and forth, and that reduces your creativity. You can't be creative. You just become very average at that point. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I work actually very late nights, because zero distractions, and my background in my computer for the last 4 years have been one picture, and that picture says one single task. It says in big letters one single task, and put a magnifying glass on it. That's my background. Because this computer is what's making you like do that, and this phone, you are not focused on one thing. So I just shut down everything, and every time I lose it myself. I check when I do a boost on Facebook for a Kapruka ad. I am so tempted to keep checking it every 5 minutes. Okay, 10,000 likes, 10,001 likes, one guy. Yeah. So then I see the slide. I walk out. I turn it off. I have to stay focused on one thing. Then your creativity really goes. You are firing on all cylinders on that one little task. And that's probably why I don't answer calls most of the time. I just shut it down and I focus on one thing. That's another reason why I'm not going to sell shares at Kapruka, because I don't want these board directors to call me and put extra threads on you. So that kind of thing. Lastly, I talk about my latest venture. So I've done two big things in life. One is Kapruka, two is the Kapruka Global Shop. That is the Amazon e-business. So I'm about to do the third one, and that is most likely be the last. Not that I have cancer anyway. No, I think it's big enough. I think it will take the rest of my life to wrap up. It's called Grasshoppers. It is a self-employed enterprises to do e-commerce. You could be a cupcake seller. You could be a small scale shop in Unity Plaza, or you can draw a 5-kilometer circle around this very building, and you will find at least 300 to 600 SMEs in 5 kilometers, and they all have needs to do e-commerce. They have inventory, they're trading, but they are not going into e-commerce because of, I feel, 3 barriers. So I saw these 3 barriers with Grasshoppers. One is your payment gateway. If you are trying to set up a website, it's very difficult to get a payment gateway if you are a small company. So Grasshoppers helps you to get a payment gateway, and we become the underwriter between the bank and the SME. So that way we are reselling a payment gateway. Second is import-export. So if you are trading, if you draw that circle, and if you find 300 SMEs, you find 99% of them are importing products to sell, right? You are not producing in Sri Lanka. From this microphone to pretty much everything in this room is imported. So somebody traded it, but these guys, smaller people, can't import directly. So they get to hand carry, or they have to buy from another reseller. So they have an import barrier. And then also there's an export barrier. So if you are a producer in Sri Lanka, let's say tea, handicrafts, so you name it, it's very difficult to export it to your destination country. If you want to send something to the Philippines, it's a different set of rules. If you send something to India, it's a different set of rules. Actually, it's harder as import than export. So Grasshoppers becomes an import-export assistance service to SMEs. So again, I said 3 things, right? First is we give a payment gateway. Second, we help them to import and export. And the third is we do the last mile delivery. Last mile delivery is also, in a developed country, if you are in US, you have UPS, you have FedEx, you have all these other courier companies. In Sri Lanka, there is no good last mile delivery. There is last mile delivery, but that's only in Colombo. I mean, in Colombo, it's fragmented. Right? But can you send something? Okay, let's say you are selling mobile phones, covers on your website. Can you send it to Puttala? But there are so many people in Puttala who wants it. So already I can disclose, so KMO.LK, they are now already on grasshoppers. For a day, we are doing 80 deliveries now to Puttala. You are not seeing that because they are Facebook targeting Puttala. Those ads, they spent $3,000 on out of Colombo FB advertising. None of you are seeing it. But you log in from those districts, you are going to see those ads. I was wondering how the hell are these people knowing this? Because I see the products moving from our grasshopper network, and I see these cables, because the same kettle is 3,000 rupee kettle in Colombo is sold for 9,000 rupees in Jaffna. Because it goes from reseller to reseller to reseller. Now this guy in Jaffna who opens a website sees the 3,000 rupee kettle and he wants it. So he orders from KMO and we deliver it. So it's getting flattened, right? It's getting really flattened, but there's so much, and that's all cash on delivery. It's 90%, no, 95% probably is cash on delivery. And this grasshopper network is very self-employed. The whole company is supposed to be 5 people, including CEO, and 4,000 riders. That's all entirely self-employed, and hubs are self-employed. It's we call it the colonies. And then there are belts that we connected that are fixed belts that are like, for example, to Puttalam, there's always one van going up and down, up and down. It just goes and drops it in that hub, and then from hub it gets redistributed. So it's very interesting, and the beauty of this is minimum capital needed. We don't own any bikes. We don't own a helmet. We don't own a 3-wheel, nothing. It's owned by those the self-employed people. But how long did I speak to? 20 minutes? Something like that? Yes. So I think I covered quite a bit. Again, backtrack, innovation, childhood, AMMA factor, and then caring about your team. One more thing. When you love your team, you got to be real at it. Okay, you can do it 2 ways. You can pretend that you love your team and get a short-term goal done. Or you can really, 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 really love the people as friends and buddies, and then you can go a long way. I mean, I try to do that. Just like when I got that TV for those kitchen servants, I didn't have any expectation back. Right? So that's the attitude you must use when you're building real teams. I mean, when I treat my employees, I treat them with no strings attached. I mean, how long we are not all going to. I'm going to live another 30 more years. So what's the big deal about building all this wealth and stuff? It's just detachment is very important, and I practice it in Kapruka. When I give something, I detach myself from it. And like tomorrow he comes and says, "Sir, I got a better offer, I'm leaving." It does not upset me. I won't think like, I didn't put a race like, I don't think like that, because it's like very short term. I detach myself from it. So when you take care of your teams, when you guys are, as I said, I'm hoping you guys are the future leaders of Mitra. So when you build your team, just take care of them for you. It could be buying them a wade, right? It could be something simple as that, but you don't expect anything back from them. One, that's going to have them tremendous respect towards you. Don't even expect that, okay? Don't even expect the respect back. You've got to be like that detached, zero. Second, they won't be able to upset you when things go wrong, or when they betray you, when they can't upset you. You're strong as a wall. You're like, okay, fine, bye Tata, I'm going my way. Good for, we had a good run, that's all. You can separate without any hard feelings. I think that's about it. That's quite a bit to cover in 25 minutes or so. And please ask me any questions about grasshoppers, or about attitude, or about detachment, or anything. Don't be shy, because some of the best questions are the dumbest questions. Right? It's like, and some of the best ideas are so obvious, you won't know that you can even patent some, like that example I gave you about. Have you talked to them about the soil thing?
No, actually, no.
I'll give you a dumb sounding idea that is worth $1 billion, $1 billion. You see on your iPhone, swipe to unlock. Do you see swipe to unlock on any other phone than iPhone? Okay, Samsung argument, you have to draw something, but do you see the word swipe to unlock on any other phone than the iPhone? No, it's because it's patented by Apple. You might think it's a dumb, it's like a dirt thing, right? How can you patent that? Yeah, they did it because nobody ever thought of that before. So it makes, imagine the value of that patent. So you cannot do that on a phone, you cannot do that on anything without paying a royalty to Apple. And that's if they're very conservative. So that shows how simple things can have a value. And Dulith told me about that app that you used in, I think, pizza delivery. Yeah, right. These guys built it?
Yes. So that is the delivery.
The delivery pizza? You guys did?
So I was the BA for it, but the team is actually in Mitra.
Okay.
The developers are there, they are the brain.
No, when he told me about it, I immediately picked one piece of it that is very valuable. That is about saying, I am here. When you are at the delivery point, you confirm that you are here. That's the unique piece of that. And I feel that you can take it out of the market. From day one, I was very concerned about the net profit of the company. So that's something that a lot of e-commerce companies overlook. Like if you look at some of the existing e-commerce like Wow or Takas or the venture-built e-commerce in Sri Lanka, they are not net profit oriented. They are very gross or transaction oriented, but then sustainability is different. That case. So Kapruka, when I started, I had no employee. I started this one from my laptop. I still code. I love coding, and I built pretty much 80% of the web service of the Grasshoppers also recently. So I love coding, and that, again, the single task thing really helps when you can stay focused, like meditation. When I started, I had only one. I was in the US, and I had only one employee in Sri Lanka. Not even an employee, he was a friend. And then we, got the first employee, the first bike, the first three-wheeler, the first van, and then I remember doing 5 orders a week was a happy week, right? And now you do 700 a day, and so it organically grew very beautifully. I remember buying the first office like this, not even this. I mean, it was like a corner of this guy's house. My friend's house, and he had even a for his kid coming to the Kapruka area. So because he just had a newborn at that time. He was feeling I needed at least a small place, and then we got a small annex. Even there we were very, very stingy about the budgets, and because we are very net profit oriented, right? It's about at the end of the month, one month I think we had $300 net profit, and I took 150, I gave him 100. It was that organic. And then it built up. We got the first employee, second employee. We turned our 3-wheel drivers into florists into managers. And I still have our head of our flower department. Now he's 12 years old as the company. He's our very first 3-wheel driver. And he's the guy I used. The first flowers were bought from Dean's Road. And then, so I used to call this guy Sugat and say, "One order at Kawa, make a deval tower." And then flower arrangement. Then Sugat sends the 3-wheel guy to go to Dean's Road, buys the flower arrangement, and gives it to the 3-wheel guy to go and deliver to the river. So he used to keep doing this all this time, and one day the 3-wheel guy said, I don't have to go to Dean's Road. And then he started doing it at his house. Then he bought his. Then now today he's the manager of the flower department. So a lot of organic stories like that. My whole IT team is only like 4 people, including me actually. So it's very and everything at Kapruka is built in Java, and everything is built in house except for the ERP. Which we don't want to start building. Everything else is even the HR system. Everything is built in house. A lot of funding, just 4 people. So it's that ammo factor really matters. These guys go home and also work as a pilot. Doing things without doing a proper pilot is global shop. We did it without a proper pilot, and we lost millions because we were doing it at a 5% fixed profit. And we the first few years we continued that while losing packages, while somebody would order a $3,000 engine and it comes here and shipping damaged, and then you got to return it back and you lost so much, so only 5% net from the other orders, you start bleeding. So at that point I wish that I had more time to do a pilot, and but after that we were very pilot oriented. But then again, some products that you develop, some ideas you develop, you have to rush to the market with that product. You can't slowly deploy and test it out because there will be too many people waiting to copy it during the pilot. So it's kind of two sides of the coin. But one bad, bitter experience is the global shop losses at the beginning, but now it's breaking even or more.
Well, we've got a saying in Agile about fail fast, fail cheap, and I think it's the same philosophy behind that.
Yeah.
That if you don't know whether something's going to work or not, get something going as quickly as you can, as cheaply as you can, just to get as much learning as possible as early in the process.
Yeah, and see, entrepreneurs, we have that. We are very stubborn about our own ideas, right? So you believe it too much sometimes, and then you kind of want to overlook the pilot. Then you kind of cheat yourself about it. So I think the pilot is one key to take home here.
But that's in the entrepreneur's DNA. Every entrepreneur is absolutely stubbornly convinced that their idea is the best one in history.
Exactly, and that's what takes some wisdom to. I'm happy that I realized it before 40. So then being an entrepreneur at 60 and still being stubborn. Now I'm very, very relaxed about it, and I'm skeptic about my own ideas. So, that's a strength. It's not, letting go of your stubbornness, and it's a strength. You become 10 times more powerful. Thanks for that question.
Dulith, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Obviously, you spoke about your entrepreneurial spirit, DNA, and your passion to innovate and do things better. That, of course, demonstrates from your success. But if you were to look back, especially your Kapruka experience, what were the 3 factors or the characteristics that really made it success for you? Outside of your passion and innovation and so on, but if you were to look at what were the 3 things that really made you very, very successful?
I think the main thing is the fact I had that Kapruka culture. The things that I said, like the ammo factor and all those unique pieces. Because one of the hardest things as you grow is finding talent. Is one of the hardest problems. I can see Lambi cannot finding talent as you grow. So that then becomes the culture that you have created in a smaller company really matters, because when you are bringing talent in, they have to join in either for a brand value or either they are trying to learn something from your company, right from day one. So you have to offer something because you are smaller teams, right? You have to offer something than John Keels. You have to offer something than Virtusa. So there has to be a cultural value there. So one is the culture. The second, I would say, my own addiction demonstrates to them when they feel like running the same pace. The boss works 18 hours, and so your immediate middle management gets a higher ammo factor, and that works. And I think the third is that we, as an e-commerce company, that we were very net profit oriented, because everything was spent out of our own pocket. In buying a van, we would executives. I would spend the whole day figuring out how not to hire 2 executives, because we don't have. One is we don't have venture capitalist, or we don't have money in the bank sitting around. So we don't have that freedom. So that really disciplines you. And then second, you become innovative. You feel like, okay, can we build some tools here and there to automate it? So so those three.
Excellent. I think they're a very good point. Two of them echoes our culture as well. How we are running Mitra. Culture is very important for us, and that's what everybody enjoys. And we are like yourself, self-funded and profit focused. I mean, when I say profit focused, yes, we want to be cash positive and fund everything ourselves. So you're right. You have to be very smart and innovative. But I have to say what you achieved is amazing. Not only Kapruka, how you went from e-commerce to florist and started producing your own goods. You're like a subversion of Amazon to a certain extent. Yes.
Our goal is to take grasshoppers into all developing countries. That's what United Nations is very interested in this, because it needs. Okay, United Nations has this new program called Aid for E-Trade. They had Aid for Trade for decades, but now they're continuing that program. But now, in addition, they are launching a new program called Aid for E-Trade, and they had $100 million budget on it, $100 million. And they saw grasshoppers and saw, God, this needs fraction of that. Because they had allocated that much money to do this kind of a change, because they had a list of like 100 things that they need to solve, but then we simplified it to 3 and make it an ecosystem, self-employed. So hopefully I will be able to take it everywhere, including Bangladesh, Ghana, Pakistan. All developing countries has the same 3 barriers that they have to face. But I badly want to do. Okay, I've made 2 wishes in my wish list. One is, even if the dollar drops to 300 rupees, I'm not going to leave the country. I'm going to be here. Right? My parents are here. I love having my children to have access to the extended family here. Second, okay, when you have a dialogue phone today, how many of you have dialogue phones? This is all the whole room. When you make a call, you are sending 0.0001 cents to Malaysia. You cannot stop that, right? So I want, when a delivery happens in Bangladesh, 0.1 rupees to come to Sri Lanka, because Grasshoppers was born here, parent company is here, flagship is here. So that's the eventual.